So it's 8 a.m. local time. We've been out here on this section. Gaza's just back there, of the Israel-Gaza border to the north of Gaza since about 9 p.m. local time last night. We've heard in the last couple of hours some artillery booms in the direction of Gaza, but nothing quite as significant as what we heard in the overnight hours. That bombardment, which I've described as the most substantial and sustained bombardment we've heard from this section of the border in nearly 3 weeks of reporting here. That stopped at about 4 a.m. local time. We don't have a whole lot of information about what has happened inside of Gaza, and that is because there's almost a complete communications blackout. We haven't been able to hear anything from our NBC teams in Gaza in hours. It's been about 10 hours since the main telecommunications group in Gaza said that they had lost all comms. So we don't have a lot of information about what things look like on the other side of the border, but what we heard throughout the night hours was just nonstop bombardment into northern Gaza. Hamas's military wing at one point, a little after 11 p.m. local time, said they were engaging with Israeli ground forces near 2 areas in northern Gaza. The IDF has just announced that they say in the strikes and military activity over last night that they killed a senior Hamas commander who they say was responsible for partly planning some of the terror attack that took place on October 7th. Specifically, they say he was in charge of the paragliders that came out from Gaza into Israeli communities. We are going to leave for the night. We'll be back nighttime local time on the border, and we will see you later. Bye. So we're back on the Israel-Gaza border. We've been hearing a lot of artillery fired in the direction of Gaza. Heard what sounded like mortars fired from inside of Gaza. We've seen a lot of rockets headed in towards Gaza, landing in Gaza, the skyline just lighting up with pockets, flashes of orange. Earlier tonight, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu spoke to Israeli citizens and described this as a new phase of war, saying they have entered a new phase of war that includes forces on the ground inside of Gaza. They have been inside of northern Gaza since roughly 8:30 p.m. local time Friday night. And tonight we're just hearing, you probably hear some of the booms, but just a constant thunderous artillery into the direction of Gaza. We've seen a couple rockets flying out of Gaza headed towards Israeli cities here in the south. One thing to remember as we're watching and listening to this is how many civilians are inside of Gaza. According to UNICEF, almost half of the population of Gaza is under the age of 18. We still do not have a lot of information from inside of Gaza because there's almost a complete communications blackout. The messages that we're getting, we've gotten 2 from our NBC teams in Gaza in the last 30 plus hours. Most of the messages that are coming out seem to be from people with international numbers, international SIM cards, or satellite phones. So I'll show you some of what we're seeing throughout the night here.